You are going to like these ones because you can make them as simple or as complicated as you would like. Most people end up choosing simple. Okay? Now, they tell you what h of x is. 4 plus 5x plus 2x cubed. And they say, can you make 4 mini functions so that your mini functions, when you put them all together, equal the function that you have to start with? So, f of x, g of x, n of x, m of x. We have a 4 at the front of h of x. Can you see if you make f of x 4, you would get that 4. If you made g of x 5x, then when you have f of x plus g of x, you would already have 4 plus 5 of x. We need 2 more functions. We need 2x cubed. There's lots of different ways you could do that. Some people would say, well, if I make this one x cubed and this one x cubed, then I would have x cubed plus x cubed at the end, and that would make 2x cubed. That is fairly simple. But when adding functions, we can make it even simpler. And this is why they almost never ask this on the final exam. Okay? So, yeah, you could have done 2x cubed and put a 0 at the end, right? Right? You could have made those 3 all 0 and just said f of x was 4 plus 5x plus 2x cubed. And there's no way they can mark you wrong on a final exam if you did that. I think the only way on a final exam they could get around that most simple one, because can you see that if I take this and then add 0 and then add 0 again and add 0 again, I'm going to get h of x? I think the only way they could get around that is if on the final exam 4 and then in here they wrote the word different. But even if it was 4 different ones, you could make the first one 2, the second one, no, sorry, 2 and 2 would be the same. You make the first one 1, the second one 3, then 5x, then 2x cubed, and you would have 4 different functions that would still add up. So it wouldn't be too hard to do. In B, you need to subtract. So let's do 2 different ones first, f of x and g of x, and then we'll think of what would be the simplest way to do it for subtracting. So, can you come up with 2 different functions so that when you subtract them, you would get 4 plus 5x plus 2x cubed? And I want you to try and think of 2 different ones, but still really simple in order to get it.
4 plus 5x plus 2x minus 0.
Well, minus 0, that would just still be 4 plus. That's going to be the simple one. Okay, 4. This would be, oh, and it would still solve the fact that they're both different, right? This is the easiest one, right? They might, oops. So now you did succeed in doing 2 different ones. So maybe they would on the exam say different non-zero functions. They might have to really clarify. But by the time they have to really clarify something to get what they want, then it's a bad question. So I don't think they'll ask it that way. What they might do is they might tell you one of the 2 functions. H of x equals f of x minus g of x. And f of x happens to be 2 plus 3x. What's g of x? That might be a way that they get around this. So if h of x is f of x minus g of x, and you have f of x already, how would you go about figuring this out? because this is a better question than the one that's asked here. So we know h of x is f of x minus g of x. We know that h of x was 4 plus 5x plus 2x cubed. And we're now told that f of x is 2 plus 3x minus g of x. And you want to figure out what g of x is. You might be able to visually think it through, but you can also use algebra. What do we want to solve for? We want to solve for and figure out what g of x is. So if I want to get that by itself, that wouldn't be too hard. I could just move it over to this side by adding g of x to both sides. I still have 2 plus 3x. And I'm going to move this entire h of x over to the other side. Well, if I move that 4, I'd have to minus 4, minus 5x, and minus 2x cubed. Now I have like terms, so I could just combine them together. 2 minus 4 would be negative 2. 3x minus 5x, negative 2x, and negative 2x cubed. So I'll write that in. G of x is minus 2, minus 2x, and minus 2x cubed. So I can see on the final exam this type of question being asked more in this format. Otherwise, just put 0 down for one of them if it's adding and subtracting, because that's super easy. And you're not going to get it wrong. But I think they'll tend to make their questions more this way so they can see, do you understand how you would get that? And sure enough, if we check this minus this, well, 2 minus a negative 2 would give us 4. 3x minus negative 2x would give us 5x. And 0 minus a negative 2x cubed would give us a positive 2x cubed. And that would work. Okay, the questions for this one are 7 and 8, I, and I. Ooh. I and I.